It was nature and all its great variety of shapes and colors and textures that first inspired me to draw and then sketch and finally to paint. I brought a few things into the studio today to sketch and get started. Won't you join me? I've got a little seascape here. Actually, it's the shells off a beach. And I'm going to start because I think you'll enjoy watching how this forms up. Drawing can be scary, but it doesn't need to be because it simply forms circles, squares, that type of thing. And if you can master those, you can master the sketch. It's just the way that you arrange them. I'm going to check the angles on this, and I'll show you how to do that. It's a good trick. Simply take a straight edge. You line it up with your object that you're viewing, get the angle that you're trying to develop, bring it down, and check it. Oh, just a little bit off. That's a good thing to know. I'll correct that right now. Same on the bottom. Bring it over. That one's pretty close. If you ever see someone going like this in the field, that's what they're doing. They're checking angles and then comparing on their work. A little swirl here for the barnacles and the worms that grow on this shell. And this one's almost complete. I'm going to put the scallop shell just below that. And I think this one with its delicate little pink edges would be fun to fill in with watercolor. I'll be using several mediums today, watercolor, pen and ink, and just a little bit of pencil to sketch it in. Indicate the shadow. And we're ready to paint. I'm going to start out by dampening the surface just a little. That way my paint will flow on. I don't want too much standing water, so I'll take a Kleenex and blot that off. There it goes. And mix up some colors. I see a little bit of a pale peach, not quite as orange as a salmon. I'm going to take some orange. And I want to mute that down, so I'm going to take the complementary color, which would be a blue. Mix that in. Just a touch of red orange to give it some blush. That's pretty close to the color I want. It's always good to check it on a paper towel. Make sure that you're happy with the color before you commit it to your paper. All right, now for the fun part. Oh yeah, that's just the color I was looking for. Before this dries, I want to blot out some highlights. I'm going to clean off my brush, dip it in the water, blot it so it's just damp, and then run it over the surface, and it'll pick up just a little bit to give me a subtle difference in value tone. And then lay down some other color right in front, so there'll be a change of value in those areas. These little worm castings on the outside are just a bit to the gray. I'm going to accent that a little bit with some Payne's gray, just a touch. And then I'll come back over it with the orange color as soon as it dries, and that'll warm it up some. Okay, now we're ready for some shadows on this. I think a little more blue, deepen that orange tone. You want to make sure that the first layer is dry, which this is, before you add any more color. That way it won't get muddy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's a quick sketch. This is something I might do in the field just to set the colors and to check shapes, take a photograph and bring it back in for a sketch later or a complete painting. Okay, down in the shadow area, lay some color in there. Richen that just a little. Let that shell have a bit of a blush right in the corner there. Ah, there we go. If you want to soften an edge, just clean your brush again and run it half on and half off. Wiggle a little bit, and that'll soften. All right, I'm going to let that dry, move on to the next shell. It has more of a pink cast. I think that'll be a rose. And then the opposite color of that, the complementary, is green. So I'll pick up just a little bit of green, tone that down. Oh, that'll be pretty. Lots of water, because this is a very delicate shell. I'm going to switch to a 1/4 inch flat. I think again I'll pre-wet this just so it'll go on a little smoother, a little less harsh. It's picking up some of the color and spreading it, and that's okay. Color goes on a little dark. You want to lighten it right away, you can blot it right off. That's just about right. A little more color. A little scallop on the edge. And while that's drying, I'll finish the one back here in the corner. He's quite a bit in the distance, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time detailing. I just want a suggestion back there. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do before I add the shadows is a bit of detail, and I'll use a number 4 round for that. Mixture of sepia and burnt sienna. Give me a nice rich brown. I'm going to stir into that some of my previous shell color. This should work good. And I'm going to put just a little bit of a squiggle line, because this particular shell has quite a little line wiggle as it goes around, kind of almost a wood grain. And that'll help set that in my mind. If I were to use this later for a larger painting, that would remind me that that's in there. Deepen the shadow in here. I think the shadows really perk up the contours, and at that stage you know you've got a definite object. It's always a fun stage as those go in. The scallop shell's a little cooler. Pick up a little bit of blue, Payne's gray, and give just a bit of shadow on the far side of the scallops. Damp brush, I'm going to soften one edge just a little. Use that same color to add a deeper shadow to the back scallop in the background. Since these are sitting supposedly on a white paper, we'll give them a nice Payne's gray with a touch of blue shadow. I'm not pre-wetting the paper because I want this to go on dark, and I want the edges to be definite. Most shadows have a sharp edge, especially if they're from the sunlight. And it helps fasten the shells to the ground so they don't appear to float. Because I love pen and ink so much, I'm tempted to go in here and add some ink work, but let's move on just a stroke or two more and I'll show you some ink work in another area. Just want to darken this a touch and we'll be through. Give some shape to these little worm castings. The final step is to take a little bit of Payne's gray, not so much blue in it, put it right up over the scallop shell, because there is a cast shadow from the larger conch shell to the scallop shell, and that needs to be in. That'll help establish not only the shape of the conch shell, but also the shape and contour of the scallop shell. And I think we'll stop there. Well, after looking this over, I can't resist adding a little more texture. I'll do that with a pencil. It won't take much to really bring out the texture and bring this shell alive.